Okay. Well, looks like everyone is just logging in, so I'm just going to get started introducing myself and talking about today's webinar. So, welcome, guys. My name is Sahara Rose. I am the author of The Idiot's Guide to Ayurveda, host of the Highest Self podcast, a wellness blogger, health coach, which is what I'm going to be talking about today, and really just so passionate about all fields, health, mind, body related, which I really have so much to thank for Institute of Integrative Nutrition. So in today's webinar, I'm going to be talking all about my journey as an IIN coach, how it came to be, how it helped me in my life, what to expect from the program, what not to expect, the differences between a health coach and a registered dietitian, the different sort of modalities that you'll learn in the program, and then ways to go about with your education if you wanted to do one-on-one coaching, if you want to do group coaching. So I'm going to be sharing all of that. So welcome, and thank you guys so much for making time on your last day, second to last day of the new year today, and learning more about taking the step for 2018. So if you guys can hear me, you can just give me a thumbs up. Otherwise, I can hold on to the microphone. I'll just hold on to it so you guys can hear me better. So I made so many notes just going back to my memories as a health coach and just so much that I had learned. And, it's been 5 years since I graduated and it still just feels like yesterday. Hearing about IIN, I had seen it on different bloggers that I followed. I would see it on their websites that they had graduated from there, people that I really looked up to. So that made me really curious, like, wow, all of these different people that I look up to have all gone to IIN. There must be something about this program. So I started researching about it. I got in contact with the admissions team, but I really wasn't sure if it was the right decision for me. So at this time, I was still in college. I was a junior in college. So about 20, 21 years old. And I had heard about it, and I knew I wanted to help people, but I wasn't sure what way. So I was going to school for international affairs, but I was really interested in health and nutrition on the side. And I had a blog that I started called Eat Feel Fresh, which was my kind of like raw vegan, natural, healthy living vlog, which has obviously very much shifted since then. And I knew I wanted to do something more in this world, but I wasn't really sure how. So I thought that you needed to be a doctor or a naturopath or a registered dietitian, a psychologist, a chiropractor, a social worker, some sort of traditional profession to help people. And I actually went down all of these rabbit holes, but none of them fulfilled me. I didn't want to be a doctor prescribing drugs. I knew I didn't want to be working in a hospital. And I definitely didn't want to spend the next 10 years in schooling and residency for something that I didn't even believe in. Not to mention go into probably $1 million of debt. It's close to that amount with no earning potential for the next decade while I studied. And the highest rates of burnouts are in hospitals. So I knew I didn't want that, but I wanted to help heal people. But being a doctor was not the route for me. So I heard about being a naturopath, and a naturopath is a more naturopathic doctor. But they still have to undergo the same amount of schooling. And to be honest, I didn't want to be working with sick people, with elderly people. I wanted to focus more on prevention, people's food, lifestyle. And again, I didn't want to spend $1 million and go into debt, which would take me, decades to make back. And there are actually very few naturopathic doctor programs in the country. So I would have had to leave my home and my boyfriend and my dog and moved up to the Pacific Northwest by myself, for many, many years to get this naturopathic doctor certification. So basically no more relationship for me. So that wasn't the right move. So next I thought about being a registered dietitian. That was one that I really thought about. So a registered dietitian is someone who is by the government allowed to dictate what people can and cannot eat. They work a lot in hospital settings, but if you look at their textbooks, they're funded by major food corporations. Their educations are extremely skewed towards the Dairy and Meat Association. They even actually recommend eating a little bit of sugar every day, like white refined sugar, eating white flour, like just things that really don't resonate with me. They are not allowed to say that organic foods are better than non-organic foods. Still, GMO foods are supposed to be okay. There are many RDs who are totally awake and not doing this, but this is just what the education is. And I know a lot of people, of my friends who are health coaches, who went the RD route and like a month in dropped out because they were like, I cannot do this. This is just so not aligned with who I am. So I didn't want that. And again, it was a very, very long process, learning things that don't really relate to what I wanted to be doing. And I definitely did not want to be shoving like the food pyramid or the food plate or any of these governmental forms of eating down anyone's throats, like 7 to 9 servings of carbs a day. Like, just no. So that wasn't for me. So then I thought about being a psychologist because I'm so interested in the mind and how, our feelings and emotions are interconnected with our health. So I thought about being a psychologist, but at the same time, I didn't want to be bounded by the regulations of clinical psychology. I didn't want to, say that this person has this disease, ADD, ADHD, OCD, schizophrenia, bipolar. I feel like it's a lot more fluid than these labels make it seem. And again, the amount of money and time and debt and the unalignment just wasn't working for me again. So I wanted something that fused all of these worlds together, being a doctor, being a naturopath, being a psychologist, being an RD. I wanted to help people's bodies, minds, and spirits, right? Do you guys feel me? Yes, yes, yes. So I wanted to talk to them about what's going on in your life and how do you actually grocery shop and how do you meal prep and what's your relationship with your body image? And let's talk about eating disorders and the importance of self-care and all of these topics that have so deeply affected me in my own personal health journey that I truly believe cannot be left out of the picture. So put in the chat box if that related to you. So what really sold me to IIN, besides all of this, was its focus on bio-individuality. That a diet for one person may not work for another. So each of our biologies is unique and we each have different dietary needs. So you probably have noticed that some of us thrive on a vegan diet while others on a paleo diet and others on a macrobiotic diet. And that's what sold me because that was actually what my exact journey was at the time. So on my blog, I actually did an experiment trying various diets each for a month and getting a blood test each month to see how it affected me. So like that's how much of a nutrition nerd I was. And in IIN, you learn hundreds of different dietary theories. So they don't tell you what to eat, but they educate you on a variety of theories so you can help choose with your clients which one is right for them. And by the way, it's probably not going to just be one. So all the lessons are audio and video, so you don't have to be seated in a chair like reading a book, but you can be walking while listening and taking notes in your phone, which is what I did a lot of the time since I love being active. So I remember one day I was on a walk and I was listening to the lecture on Ayurveda, which was by, I think, Dr. Dwelard, who I actually just interviewed for my podcast, crazily enough. So at that time, now this is 6 years ago, I had heard of the word Ayurveda, but I wasn't really sure anything about it. I thought it was just kind of some form of massage or herbs you took, just didn't really know that much about it. So he started talking about how we each have a unique mind-body type called a dosha, and what our bodies need are determined by our own unique doshic constitution. So a spark went off in my head and I knew I needed to learn more about this. So I went down the rabbit hole and I started studying everything that there is to know about Ayurveda. I did every dosha quiz under the sun. I really just went knee deep learning all there is to know. And I'm sure a lot of you guys, when you heard about Ayurveda and saw my book, you did the exact same thing. So I found out that I had a severe vata imbalance, like all the symptoms were like reading the story of my life, the dry skin and the bloating and the gas and the constipation and insomnia and like all the things. It was like, you're reading my resume right now. And I learned that it was because of my diet, eating mostly raw salads and smoothies, that it was completely wrong for my dosha. And it was actually what was causing the vata imbalance. So I read every book about Ayurveda that I could, and I eventually actually moved to India to study Ayurveda. I ended up spending 2 years studying Ayurveda there. And today I'm the #1 bestselling Ayurveda author in the world, which is like a freaking trip. So it just goes to show that one of the things that you're introduced to in IIN may just spark something in your head and be the exact catalyst that you needed to create something so much greater. So if it wasn't for IIN, I would not for sure be where I am today, would not have this career, really would not have dived into Ayurveda at all. It would have just kind of stayed on this thing that I've heard about, but never really went further into. And you probably wouldn't have heard of Ayurveda. If you heard about it through me, you wouldn't have heard about it. So it just shows like how interconnected it is and the domino effect, and how one little decision that you make, signing up for IIN, stepping out of your comfort zone, creates this catalyst of positive events that changes the vibration of the world. So let's talk a little bit more about Ayurveda. But first I want to share with you guys like a little funny story. So I remember when I met Deepak Chopra for the second time. The first time I share the whole story on the Highest Self podcast episode. I think it's like episode 15. So listen to that for sure, because it's crazy. But the second time that I met him, which was a few days after he called me on the phone, I was like, oh my God, I'm talking to Deepak Chopra on the phone. This is insane. And he asked me to meet him after one of his lectures, and he just wanted to kind of interview me and get to know me better. So he asked me where I studied, and I told him the Ayurveda places, and I mentioned IIN, and he's like, oh, great. I'm a guest teacher there. And that moment created this like bond of certainty and trust between us, because he understood that I had studied at a reputable school that even he was a teacher of. So people around the world know what IIN is. I mean, it's the world's largest nutrition school. It has thousands of graduates around the world, and anywhere you go, you're going to find an IIN grad. So you know, by having this sort of education, people are going to well receive it. And, you know, sometimes when you study at a random school or something, like people have never heard of it, and you need that credibility, and it really just instills trust in people. And I mean, let me just like list off some of the guest teachers for you guys. So Deepak Chopra, Dr. Oz, Ariana Huffington, Christiane Northrup, Dr. Whale, Dr. Hyman, David Wolf, Gabby Bernstein, Alicia Silverstone, Danielle Laporte, Janine Roth, Marie Forleo, Walter Willett, who's the chairman of Harvard School of Public Health, Mark Sisson, Paleo Primal, Dr. Joel Furman, Joe Cross, who's the filmmaker of Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, Venus Williams, Mastin Kipp, just so many amazing people that, you know, are the people that we look up to the most. And these are your guest teachers while you're at IIN. So it's really, really special to be able to learn from them. And when you meet these people in person, you tell them you went to IIN, they're like, oh yes, I'm a guest teacher there. And they want to further support you. So it has this really, really strong like alumni feeling. And actually, almost all of my friends are former IIN grads, and it's not because I met them on the program, but just because there's that certain bond between IIN grads, and you already know that you have a lot in common if you studied there, because you value wellness and the mind-body connection and holistic health and self-care and all of these things. So instantly when you meet another IIN person, you're like, oh, we're on the same wavelength. And yeah, almost all of my friends are graduates of the program now. And I really never expected this. So with IIN, you know, it's such a community, and they really create this community. Even though it's online, you are assigned an accountability partner that you see throughout the program. And this is someone that I'm still in touch with 5 years later, and someone that, you know, you bounce ideas off and support each other and say, hey, what do you think about my niche? What do you think about my website? What do you think about the programs that I'm running, and they're just there for you and you're there for them. And there's a private Facebook group and they do live events. So everyone who's listening to this webinar right now, if it's before January 2nd, 2018, if you sign up by January 2nd, you will get VIP tickets to their live conference in 2019. So you can participate the year after you graduate. And it's an amazing way to meet new people. This year, Deepak Chopra is going to be the head speaker. Like, what a coincidence, just everywhere in my life. So, and they do it in different cities. So most of the time it's in New York. This year it was in Miami. They don't know where it's going to be next year. So we'll see, but you will get VIP tickets if you sign up with my referral by January 2nd. So a lot of you guys probably who are here, by the way, if you're here, you can shoot a little message, but okay. I'm just going to say hi to everyone. Hi. So if you are interested in IAN, but you don't know if health coaching is the right thing for you, that's not the only thing that you have to do. So a lot of people who studied at IAN aren't health coaches. They just wanted that holistic nutrition education. So some examples, if you've ever had Purely Elizabeth's granola, Elizabeth from Purely Elizabeth went to IAN. Or if you know Mama Glow Latham, she's a doula and she did IIN. Sarah Wilson of I Quit Sugar, she has an amazing program on quitting sugar. IIN grad. My good friends Marie Marlowe and Liana, they were both on Highest Self podcast. So Liana is a cancer healing expert and Maria is a skin healing expert. And they both went to IIN. And Liana actually works in a doctor's office now that hired her to be the health coach for all of the patients there. So it's super, super amazing that health coaches are now really being seen by the government, by medical associations as something that's so pivotal to the movement because, you know, doctors don't have time to give people health recommendations. They don't have time to go through the diet with someone and check up on how they're doing and check up on all these other areas of their life. They're so time swapped. So health coaches are needed because they're the people who are there for that person and hold their hand and check up on them and make sure they're actually making the right moves and the right daily decisions that will bring them more towards health. You know, if you're told that you have diabetes and the doctor's like, yeah, I don't need any sugar, but there's like a vending machine at his office, the person's so confused. They don't know, well, is orange juice sugar? Is this sugar? Is that sugar? And the doctor doesn't have time to help them on that. A lot of doctors are not educated on that. You know, most doctors, 60% of them have only taken one basic nutrition course ever. So health coaches are so needed because we are the people who are going to be the ones to implement these changes in people's lives and not only prevent health, but help people regain health. So there are people who their niches are working with cancer patients and thyroid disease and autoimmune disease and so many other issues. So it's not a surface level job at all. It is what you make of it. You can focus on, you know, just the well-being, the body image stuff if you want to be more there, but you can really get into the disease prevention as well if that's what you want. So IIN just provides you with the tools you need to set up that framework, and it's really totally up to you what you want to do with it. So again, the world is your oyster. You can use the education as a stepping stone for whatever you want in life. So type in the chat box what you want in life. I'd love to know. So we talked a lot about what IIN is, and let's talk a little bit about what IIN is not. So IIN is not a nutrition mill. You actually have to do the work. So you're assigned a group coaching call where you meet twice a month, every 2 weeks, and you share what's going on, where you're at in your studies. You go through things like choosing your niche or doing your first health history consultation and so much more. It is extremely important to be on these calls, guys, not only because it offers great community support and feedback from a health coach, but also because you'll fail if you miss too many of them. There's like a certain amount, I think like you have to make 10 of them or something. Don't know the exact number. But here's an embarrassing story, guys. Don't judge. The first time I enrolled in IIN, I had to drop out and restart in the next session a few months later because I was in Zimbabwe and I didn't make enough of the calls with the time difference. I just couldn't make them. So that goes to show they're not playing around. If you don't make the certain amount of coaching calls, they're not going to give you this certificate. So I had to restart it again a few months later, and then I ended up graduating. But you can't just pay and expect you're going to be certified. This is not how it works. There are quizzes after each module. There are several exams in the program. They're not hard by any means, as long as you listen to the lectures and, do the work. And they're all open book as well. So if you're afraid of quizzes or something, like, they're all open book. But what they're testing is not how well you can memorize terminology, but how well you understood the concept. So if a client responds a certain way, or if something happens, how do you act? So these are things that really, it takes common sense. So as long as you're doing the work, you're going to pass the quizzes and be fine. But just know you can't just sign up for this and peace out. They're not going to give you your certificate, because they want actual health coaches that are going to make a difference on this planet, not people who are just trying to add another credential to their resume. So if you're here just for the diploma, you're going to have to show up for the calls and show up and do the work. And you wouldn't want to have it any other way, right? Another thing IIN is it's not a science program. So if you're interested in studying molecular biology or organic chemistry or food science, pathology, epigenetics, other science-related subjects, this isn't going to cover that. This is not a PhD program. This is not a clinical program. This is not going to break down the different enzymes of the food and the digestive system. And that's not IIN. So IIN is a great supplement to your science education, but it's focused on working with people. So you learn the basics of hundreds of dietary theories, and it's up to you to choose which ones you want to dive deeper into. So for me, that was Ayurveda, but I'm glad I still learned about macrobiotics and the zone diet and the South Beach diet and the primal diet and countless of other dietary theories, because now I have an understanding of them all, but I wouldn't say I'm an expert in all of them by any means. I had one class on each. So if you're trying to dive really deep into Ayurveda or really deep into macrobiotics, IIN is not the program for you. If you are trying to get a good understanding of a wide array of health theories and learn more about the business of health coaching, and use the education for the community purposes and as a stepping stone into another field in health or well-being, then IIN is a good choice for you. So personally, after I graduated from IIN, I did feel like I wanted more of an understanding of the science of nutrition. So I ended up studying sports nutrition with the International Sports Science Association, which is very heavily focused on counting macronutrients and micronutrients and devising meal plans for a variety of athletes. So that program had no human interaction, no videos, no audio. You were literally given a textbook and 8 months to study its contents and complete a number of examinations and written essays and create meal plans for different types of athletes, like bodybuilders and marathon runners and people who these were their macros and this is how much they weighed and that was their body fat percentage. And it was like very like traditional as well, like promoting the use of lots of supplements and whey protein and carb loading pre-race. And I honestly don't use any of that education in my practice today. But I'm glad that I did it because it gave me an understanding of a whole world of nutrition that I didn't know about and a deeper understanding about the macro and micronutritional content. So again, if you're trying to be a lab research assistant or create your own strain of DNA, something like that, IIN is not the place for you. If you are just seeking a greater understanding of holistic, so nutrition is one part of it, but there are all other parts of holistic well-being, IIN is a good place. So it really just opens the doors for a variety of theories, and you can run with one of them or just take it as it is. And I mentioned that besides nutrition, there is a great focus on something that they call primary foods. So primary foods are the things that feed us, are not food related. So our relationships, our spirituality, our home, our career, our love life, all of these things are feeding us. They're creating energetic balances or imbalances within us. And this actually dictates how we eat and the food choices that we make. So you're encouraged to ask your clients questions of, what is the reason behind your hunger, and what do you think you're really craving, and things that you would never, ever ask about in an RD program, or your doctor's not like, what are you really craving in life? Like, they don't ask you that, but these are really important questions. So there's a lot more of a psychological and spiritual emphasis in IIN that other clinical programs do not have and cannot have because they're government mandated. Another great thing about IIN is you really are trained like a therapist, like a life coach. Like, you're taught to ask high mileage questions, and taught how to be an attentive listener. So I didn't realize how deeply psychological it was going to be, and how so much of the reason that we're not healthy really has nothing to do with food and everything to do with mindset. So you're taught not to answer your clients' questions, but rather encourage them to come up with their own. So I found this extremely effective. At first, I was like, no, my clients want answers and I need to give them the answers and, jot down their meal plan. This is what you're going to eat. And these are the 7 days and breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, and call me if this happens. And at first I was like super helicopter. And I realized that that's not actually really helping, because then they just become dependent on you. And the whole point of being a health coach is to teach people independence and teach people how to be their own guides and their own healers and listen to their own body's wisdom. So I realized that wasn't the best thing I was doing. And actually asking these high mileage questions was. So a high mileage question is something that makes them, really start thinking and finding the answers within, because when you find the answers within, it means so much more than someone else telling you that answer. So you're really taught to hold space for that individual. So holding space is, creating a comfortable atmosphere and encouraging dialogue so they can open up about what's going on for them, which, by the way, guys, often has nothing to do with food. So you'll see when you start working with clients that your first 5 consultations, there's going to be like 20% food, 80% life. And then once they start sorting that stuff, then you go back to the food. But just so many things impact the way that we eat, guys. Like, if a parent is sick, or if you're at school, or this or that, all of these things are going to impact our relationship with food. So with IIN, you're really, really taught that, and how to look out for that, and how to hold space for that person can make choices for themselves. You're really taught how our relationship with food is a direct relationship with everything else in our lives. And if we overeat foods, what are the things that we're compensating for? And if we have body image issues, then what is the perfection that we're trying to seek? And you see all of these parallels, which I just really, really love and appreciate about the program. So part of being a student at IIN means that you're going to go through your own work as well. So you fill out the same health history intake forms that you give out to the clients, and you practice sessions, health history intake sessions with the other students. So I probably did about 20 health history practices before actually working with my first client. So you really figure out your own stuff when you're sharing it with so many people, and you're always like, oh, wow, I actually don't sleep enough, or like, oh, maybe I do drink so much coffee, or all of these things, because most of the time we've never even gone through these things with anyone before. So for us to really be able to better heal and help others, we first must heal and help ourselves and clear out our own issues when it comes to food and well-being and lifestyle, so we can really be there for other people. So even if you never want to coach, I really believe that the program is worth it just for this experience of being able to work with so many different people and learn so much about yourself, because it's really going to help you become healthier, not only for yourself, but for your family and just in your personal life, that even if you never want to make a career out of it, there's still so much that you'll learn. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to let me know and I'll keep going. So the first half of IIN is focused on nutrition, which I mentioned, while the second half is focused on business. So you're taught to choose your niche, how to write your elevator pitch. You get different people to do free health history sessions with you. You learn how to turn free health history sessions into paying clients, how to set up a 6-month program. You're given tons, like dozens and dozens and dozens of pages of resources on how to organize the 6-month program, which handouts to give for each session, which paperwork to have them fill out, what intake forms you need, what legal agreements you need, how to keep track of their progress, ways to conduct your sessions, whether it's in person or online or renting out a space in an office. You're even given a free website that's actually made for you with information about IIN already on there, which you can further customize with photos and more personal information. So if you're like, oh, I can't do any of the tech stuff, I have no idea, there's videos on how to start a social media, how to do a podcast. They have all of that. So they give you customizable logos, business cards, brochure templates, newsletter templates with pre-drafted content on it. So you don't have to worry about from scratch figuring all of that stuff out. How do I write my email newsletter? How do I do this? How do I do that? Like, they have it all for you there. And just that alone is worth at least $20,000. How much marketing help goes into this? This is something that you'd have to hire a business coach for years and years and years to get. And it's because this program has existed for, I don't know, 15 years, maybe longer. So they've really thought about everything at this point. So on top of the marketing material, you receive a lot of health coaching material. So all the tools that you need to guide the client through the entire 6-month program and manage your own practice. So detailed guidelines for each coaching session, handouts on topics like sugar substitutes or how to cook greens, legal forms, client program agreement forms. So many things that I realized I never even thought about, like, oh, you need to have a written agreement by them and needs to say these things. Because you could get in legal trouble if you don't know this stuff. So just business wise, it's really, really wise if you do want to do any type of coaching to really know this stuff. So you're really given all the resources and education you need to take your business off the ground and keep it running. I still use the IIN health history forms and documents today, 5 years after graduating later, still using them. So while they do all of these amazing things, all these amazing resources for you, you still got to put in the work. So it takes time to build a business, guys. You may get a few clients immediately. It's not unheard of that people get clients on the first day. That actually happens a lot. You'd be surprised by how many people out there are looking for health coaches or have never heard of it. And it is the thing that they've been looking for subconsciously. So you'd be surprised by the demand is very, very high. But even if you get a few clients, really expect to put in a few years of work before you can make a name for yourself. You don't graduate and suddenly there's like book proposals and book deals coming to your door and they want you on Oprah. That's not how it's going to work in anything in life. You have to put in the work. Don't expect IIN to do it for you. They provide you with the resources, but you might do the program and end up doing nothing with it. But that has nothing to do with IIN and everything to do with yourself. So don't expect miracles. Only expect yourself to be the miracle. And I remember for me, so 6 months into the program, you're allowed to start taking on clients. And I was so excited. I was like, oh, I can't wait to work with a client and talk to them and help them. Because I was always helping my friends and I couldn't wait to do it in a professional manner. So I was so excited to begin working with people, but no idea how to find these people, and I was like 21 years old. So I was like, well, I'm not going to like walk up to this like older woman and be like, hey, let me be your health coach, because she's not going to take me seriously and I'm too young and I'm too this and I'm too that. So I remember putting up on my blog $20 consultations. I had a little menu on top. It said $20 consultations and like, I'll go through your diet. I'll do this. I'll do that. Just $20 an hour. And of course, no one signed up. I mean, thinking back on it, like, how could you ever take health advice from someone who's willing to do it for $20 an hour, still in college and still a health coaching student? Because I had to obviously write all of that. So of course I didn't get any clients, but I felt defeated. I was like, this is a load of baloney. No one can ever survive as a health coach. It's impossible. No one's going to pay for a health coach. People are so money strapped. There's no way it's going to happen. Oh, I just wasted all my time. But really, it was a lot of my own money blocks going on, which I have my next podcast is about the money blocks. So how could I expect people to pay me for health coaching services when I wasn't even confident in myself? Truth is, I didn't feel valuable. Um, and that took time. That took time and building confidence and building, more education and putting myself out there. And it took time. And then I remember, and it didn't take that long, but I got my first client who paid me $60 an hour. And for me, that was like, oh my God, I just hit the jackpot. $6 an hour. Like, I'm in college. I'm making $60 an hour. It's $1 a minute. This is great. Way more than I had ever made in my life. And it goes to show that by bringing up the price and becoming more confident in myself, I actually started getting clients. So when you value yourself, other people value you more. So if you're offering everything for free or everything for $20, they're not going to value you that much. It is good to do the first consultation free because you want them to see what you know and get comfortable with you. And you also want to see if they're a good match for you. So IAN teaches you the first session should be a health history session that you go through what they've been eating and their dietary goals and all of these emotional things. And that should be a free session. And then you ask them if they want to do the 6-month program. And you don't do one-on-one sessions. You're not recommended to do that because the thing is, if people aren't committed to a 6-month program, the truth is they're going to do it once or twice and fall off. And you're not helping them. You're not helping yourself. You're not making a career and you're not creating results either. So it's hurting both parties. So having a 6-month program creates stability. It creates a relationship for you. You don't have to constantly be hustling of, I need to find a new client today and I need to find a new one for tomorrow. And, if you're trying to live off of one-off consultations, it's really, really hard. But if okay, I got my 6 clients for 6-month programs, I have my income goals met for the next 6 months. I don't have to worry about it. I can put all my emphasis on serving these clients. And you're making your full-time income in 6 hours a week. Okay. So at IAN, they teach you, they recommend at the beginning, you should be charging about $195 a month for 2 sessions a month. So about $100 an hour. That's starting. And then it goes up. There are coaches charging hundreds or even thousands of dollars a month. So that obviously takes time to build that up, but off the bat, you can expect to make about $100 a month. $100 an hour and have 6-month programs available. So that's a lot more return for your time than in most other careers, which is why being a health coach is so appealing. You have so much more time on your hands that you can actually learn about health and actually study and actually practice these things for yourself and not constantly be at an office desk or be hustling or, stressing yourself out. You can have these clients and put your full attention to them and to healing yourself and healing the planet and working with your community as well. So I'll just share a little story with you about my first client. So I didn't do the 6-month thing for a long time because I had this block of who'd want to work with me for 6 months. I can never get that. So the only way I can get them to work with me is if I just charge them per session. Again, still had a lot of the blocks. So I had my first client and I was like 21, 22. And she was a woman named Kara and she wanted to lose weight for her wedding. So I helped her create a meal plan to help her lose weight. And surely she lost all the weight that she wanted. And she looked amazing for her special day. So I was so happy. Like, can't believe I was just involved in this person's wedding. And I did this. So glad. So she came to me again a few months later saying that she was having fertility issues and needed help getting pregnant. So I researched everything about fertility foods and all of these pregnancy related things. And obviously I never experienced that myself, but I was able to create a great meal plan for her and she loved it. So I didn't hear from her for about a year later. And she emails me a picture of her baby son. So she had become pregnant by following my meal plan and now needed help losing the weight again. So I was so ecstatic, because of me, life was brought to this planet. And I was indirectly involved. I was just helping her with her food, but those food choices that she made created a healthy, happy pregnancy and child who's now here walking on this earth. So that fulfilled me so much. And I knew that this was exactly what I wanted to keep on doing. Like, no paycheck can make you as happy as that. And on top of that, you are still getting paid paychecks, but just knowing that you made a difference in someone's life is something that's beyond anything else. So since then, I've seen at least 2,000 unique clients. And a few months ago, I actually stopped doing one-on-one consultations because I was receiving so many requests that I just couldn't see everyone. So my thoughts that it was impossible to get a client were totally wrong. In fact, it's impossible to keep up with all the client inquiries that I get. So even though my website says I'm no longer seeing clients, I have my programs, I still receive dozens of emails a day from people asking me to make an exception. And I was charging $350 an hour for my consultations and still had lines of people waiting. And I'm 26 years old. So I made the transition into group coaching and I've never looked back. So now I'm able to provide people with 3 months of content through my Eat Right for Your Mind Body Type guided program, which is fully automated. It has meal plans, weekly videos, audio files, meditations, everything. All of my tools are in there. And that would have cost them, with my hourly rate, over $4,200 for those 12 weeks. But the price is only $285 for all 3 months with everything in it. So it makes it much more affordable. I prefer working with more people than having a few. I'm not interested in celebrity clients, and I don't even like charging people like that much money for my time. I rather have something that everyone can afford and reach more people. That's me. I have a lot of friends that work with celebrities and charge $1,000 an hour. So everyone can choose what feels right for them. But for me, I'm like more of the people. So I like that more. So it's fully automated, which also gives me a lot of freedom to write my books and work on more creative projects because I'm not trading my time for money anymore. The program is totally automated and it runs itself. So during the day, I get some emails about like some questions in the program, but I'm not doing the actual consultations anymore. So I don't recommend starting off like this. I think you should work with clients for a few years to really know how to work with clients, what they want, figure out your niche, which takes years and years to figure out truly. The niche that I thought I was going to have, which was going to be to work with girls with eating disorders, ended up not being the right niche for me. I still love it. It's still a cause important to me, but ended up not being my main niche. But I never would have expected Ayurveda for sure. So I do recommend eventually after doing the one-on-one coaching to move into group coaching if you can, because you'll be able to create passive income for yourself and far more wealth than you could if you were trading in your time for money. I've also led dozens of retreats around the world in India, Josh Retreat, Costa Rica, Bali. I've led tons of live workshops in LA yoga studios and meditation studios. I've been invited to teach at conferences and festivals around the world. Just this March, I'm being flown to Hawaii to teach at Wanderlust Festival, teaching Ayurveda there. Then I'm going to be flying into Miami to teach with Kino, the world's most famous Ashtanga yoga for her new thing, Om Stars, taught in so many different festivals all around the place. And it's amazing because people want more wellness education. There are a lot of more yoga teachers out there and things, but there aren't as many people talking about wellness, especially from a holistic standpoint. So there's definitely huge space and huge demand. And it just takes people stepping up to and being really confident in yourself and knowing that you can serve and you provide value. So again, I'm not saying that every person who graduates from IIN has this. It's up to you. You have to do the work. You have to be creative. You have to be persistent. You have to be determined. Just like people, you can graduate from Harvard or Yale or Stanford and do nothing with your education. It's up to you. And that's with everything in life. So a lot more doors open for you. You have to walk them. I would not have had my book deal if I had not gone to IIN, if I had not studied Ayurveda, if I had not had these certificates under my belt. There's no way Penguin Random House would have given me a book deal. No way Deepak Chopra would have had the trust in me. You need to have these certifications. Otherwise, you could know so much, but if you don't have that piece of paper, sadly, people don't know that. So I know so many people who are so knowledgeable about nutrition. I'm like, just get a health coaching certification, get something so you can show for it. Because if you just read all the books and Google all the things, you probably know a lot, but you need to have something to show other people so they can trust you. And with IIN, I'll talk a little bit more about this in a sec, but it's interconnected with a lot of universities. So you can actually use your education at IIN to go for your master's degree after too. So if traditional education is important to you, you can totally still do that. And it's a great thing. So you can tie in the two. And now there are actually master's programs opening up masters in health coaching. So IIN was the catalyst of this whole movement. They even have lobbyists right now in DC that are fighting to make health coaches mandatory in hospitals and doctors' offices. So we're going to see a huge, huge, huge increase in the demand for health coaches from a legal and medical sector perspective because the world needs it. So if you already have the diploma, when they're like, hey, we need health coaches. I mean, I see on these jobs websites, they're looking for health coaches all the time, like Google and all these corporations, they need health coaches on staff because people are burning out. So whatever that you want to do with it, you can do it. It just takes making that decision, making that leap, signing up for the program, booking that first client, making that first group session. You have to continue walking the path. It's not going to be walked on its own. So again, none of my life would have happened if I didn't take that first path of stepping into the unknown, signing up for IIN, but it's me who had to walk the path. So what I love about health coaching above all is that I genuinely know that I'm part of the solution. So I'm inspiring people to become healthier and more balanced and more loving and better friends and parents and partners. And I love that. We help people overcome trauma and wounds and addiction and disease just by encouraging them to eat a healthier diet and lead a better lifestyle. So you don't tell people what to do, but you empower them to listen to their own inner voice, which is so much more powerful. And I feel so full every single day, knowing that I am touching the lives of so many other people that I normally would never have had access to. So with IIN, getting into the more technical side, it's flexible online platform. The amount of time it takes per week is probably about 3 hours, I'd say. The lectures are normally about an hour long, and then there's like a quiz and supplemental reading. So I would say plan for 3 hours of your week. There's always more content. You can always dive deeper. But if you can't give 3 hours a week, I would say it's not the right time for you. I would give that much time to really let yourself study the material, listen to lectures, maybe re-listen to it, take notes. The program is going to work as much as you do. So give yourself those 3 hours a week. Guys, 3 hours a week is not that hard. Think about how much time you spend on Instagram. That's like 3 hours a day. You can do it. So it's 24/7. So you can be in any time zone in the world and still on. It's always available. They give you an app, and each week a new module opens and you get the contents of that week's lesson. You can do the quiz, watch the videos, etc. And then, as I mentioned, every 2 weeks, there's a group coaching call. You choose your time and your day. So they have times and days in any part of the world. You can live in Africa, you can live in the Middle East, you can live anywhere, and you can find a time that works for you because the IIN students are global. So the reason for me that it didn't work out was because I was in Boston and then I went to Zimbabwe, which is a big time difference. So I could no longer make the time. So once you pick your time, you can't change it. They're pretty strict on that. But if you don't plan on moving to Africa halfway through the program, I think you'll be good. So it's flexible start dates. You can start at any point in the year. Right now, they're doing this special that if you sign up by January 2nd, you get the $1,500 off plus VIP tickets if you use the Sahara Road referral. But you don't have to start it immediately. You can start it in March. You can start it later on. So you just need to put in your deposit. They also have, it's a less of a discount, but they do have payment plans available. It's still, I think, $1,000 discount. I'm not sure. You have to talk to them. I emailed everyone their number, and email again their number so you can get in touch with them. But they also give a discount for payment plans. So if you don't have any money to put down, zero down, they will give you a payment plan. It just won't be the same $1,500 off. It's going to be a lesser discount. But if you have the money for it, then you can do it. Now, the question that I'm getting is, how much is the program? So when I went, it was in the low 5,000s, and this is for everything. And if you think about it, that's like the cost of like a college course, and you're getting a year-long program that I sent you guys an email that has the different course curriculum stuff, and it really shows that the amount that you're getting is equivalent to a full master's degree program, which would have cost you about $60,000. So you're getting a massive, massive, massive discount. You're getting about 1/10 of the price that you would if you went to a traditional college. That's a huge discount. So a lot of people are going in debt trying to get their master's in nutrition or be an RD and all of these things, when you can just do IIN. It's just as reputable. If for many people like us who are more holistic, it's even better. And it's 1/10 of the cost. So talk to them, because I'm sure the price has changed since I went. So talk to them about the exact cost, and they'll be able to quote to you better than I can. Again, I don't work for the company. I just went there. I'm just sharing it, and I'm just like an affiliate for them. But I don't work for the company, so I don't have all of the details about like the financing and stuff like that. You'd have to contact them. I'm just here to share. So now I want to talk a little bit about the college credit. Some of you were asking, how is this related to getting your master's? You're interested in that. So IIN is a licensed school in New York State by the Education Department as of 2009. So it's licensed. They have partnerships with a variety of academic institutions to help alumni earn credits towards bachelor's degrees or master's degrees or continuing education certificates. So you can apply it towards your master's, your bachelor's, or another certificate. So they work with SUNY Purchase, which is in New York, Cal State Long Beach, Maryland University of Integrative Health, California Institute of Integral Studies, which is a really cool school, Goddard College, Excelsior College, and the International Coach Federation. So your education there counts towards course requirements there. I don't know the exact number. You have to contact them. They'll give you more information. But if you are interested in doing your master's, but you're interested in doing this too, you can do this and then do, Maryland University of Integrative Health or California Institute of Integral Studies, which has really cool, like other very like mind-body programs. And Cal State has a registered dietitian program. So you can use that towards your other degree. So IIN, again, it is a school, but it's also so much more than that. It's a movement. It truly is a movement. It has been a game changer. And it's so mission driven. It's just created a health revolution. So I'm just really proud to be sharing it because it's made such a difference in my life. I literally wouldn't be where I am today if I hadn't done it. And it has nothing to do with the resources they gave me. It has nothing to do with the education. It actually has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the confidence that they gave me. It has to do with the fact that it allowed me to believe in myself. And it showed me that there is a possibility for me to live a life according to my dreams, because I thought that I had to put them away in order to fit in society, to be financially successful. I thought, you had your things that you like and your things that made you money. And a deeper part of me knew that you could have them both, but I had never seen it happen. So I'm just like, I literally get emotional thinking about it. But IIN has just really opened doors for me. And every day I'm just so grateful that I'm doing what I love and I'm helping other people and I'm able to live a lifestyle that's abundant and fruitful. I don't have to worry about money as much anymore, and I'm free. I have time. And it's like the middle of the day and I can be here on this webinar. And that was not a reality, before I was interning at ad agencies, which is like the polar opposite of this. And then I was working in nonprofit organizations, and it was like just being in a cubicle all the time, and just the amount of freedom that it's given me is like just so amazing because it's allowed me to do so much more with my time and write books and do other creative things that truly fuel my soul, and then connect with amazing people, help people. Just the transformations I've seen in my clients is so astounding. Not just the weight loss, not just the acne removal, not that stuff, but just how much more confident and empowered they are, and then seeing them follow their dreams. And it's just this catalyst, when one person follows their dreams, it inspires other people to do the same. And that's why I'm here, like shouting on top of the roofs, like, oh my God, I just loved going here, because I truly feel that way. And I know that with you as a health coach, you're going to do the same thing when you graduate. I can feel that. I feel that you guys are all really, really high vibe and are here spending your second to last day of the new year learning more about this because you truly want to help people. So I commend you for that. So again, if you're interested in signing up until January 2nd, just mentioned Sahara Rose's discount. It's a $1,500 discount. And the VIP tickets, just send me an email at sahara@eatfeelfresh.com. I will get you connected with your admissions people. Make sure that you get the discount on the list. So email me, sahara@eatfeelfresh.com. And I hope that this webinar was informative to you. I hope it was helpful. I hope it answered questions. If you have any more questions, the admissions people are totally there. They're all graduates of the program, so they know what it's like to have so many different questions, and they'll be able to answer your questions on payment plans and financing and, the curriculum and all of that stuff. And I emailed out everyone a sample class of the program, so you can experience a sample class and see what it's like to actually be a student there. The curriculum guide, and just more information. There's like a few links in the email. So you'll see it when you've registered for this. There's going to be a replay of this webinar as well. So you can look at that, check out all of the things. If you move by January 2nd, you get a pretty amazing discount, VIP tickets to the 2019 conference. And if not, if you're listening to this after January 2nd, you can still get a $1,000 discount, which is still pretty amazing. It's just $500 less. No VIP tickets, but you could probably still go to the conference. You'll just have to buy the tickets. So after January 2nd, just email me, sahara@eatfeelfresh.com. I will get you connected with them. You'll still get the $1,000 off and be able to launch your career and help people and really have a thriving business that you love that is changing the vibration of this planet. So thank you guys so much for listening. Let me look if there are any questions here that I have not seen. Looks like there's no more. So thank you so much again for tuning in. I hope this was helpful. If there's anything else lingering in your mind, please go on my Facebook group, the Mind Body Balancers Facebook group, and we can have a discussion there. You guys can communicate, share notes, and I'll be answering any questions you have. You can email me, sahara@eatfeelfresh.com, and I'd love to answer. And hope you guys get started on this beautiful journey. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. Namaste.